6, 7,
8,
9.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Basler, and this is my narrative speech. Do you remember the feeling you would get when you were a little kid on Christmas Eve? Do you remember not being able to go to sleep because of the excitement of getting up and unwrapping presents that have been teasing you under the tree for days? Not to mention the excitement of seeing what Santa brings. That is the feeling I had the night before I went on my first deer hunt. I was 9 years old and lying in bed thinking of that monster buck I was going to shoot the next morning, and even had planned where I was going to put it on the wall. I couldn't sleep because my stomach felt like it was full of bats in a dark cave just trying to escape. I was so nervous. It was almost opening morning for youth season, and I, Jonathan Basler, was going out in the woods on the big hunt to kill my trophy deer. When I finally did go to sleep, it felt like I was only out for a minute when I got my wake-up call. It was time to get up and start putting my layers and layers of clothes on. I can barely wake up for school, but this morning I was wide awake and ready to go. Even with only a few hours of sleep, finally I grabbed my gun, and my stepdad and I was out the door at 4:30. Every morning of deer season, Wayne and me stop at a gas station and I grab a blue squirt bottle Gatorade so I have no spills, while Wayne's grabs a jumbo cup of coffee. Now I know this isn't the smartest thing, knowing that we have 4 layers of clothes on, or going to be sitting out in the woods for 6 hours, but it's always an excellent idea that morning. You never think of the negatives when you know the beast is waiting for you in the woods. Finally we get to the hunting farm and I'm pumped. I grab my gun, ammo, overcoat, orange vest, and my satchel, which holds my hunting supplies, including my Gatorade. You really have no idea how hard it is to walk a mile at 9 years old with a heavy gun, layers of clothes on, and following my 6'5" stepdad who has the longest legs imaginable. I'm practically running to keep up. Then when we do get to the deer stand, you can tell he built it because the steps seem like they're 3 foot apart. With just being a little guy like me, let's just say it was tough. When you get up in the deer stand and get situated, you can feel the cold wind drilling you in the face and freezing of the sweat built up from the nature walk. As I'm sitting there while the sun is coming up, I feel myself dozing off. I'm not supposed to be up this early, but the sun has peeked over the trees now and it is time to look out. My stepdad and me were probably sitting in the stand for about 2 hours or so, and it was starting to get cold. I could feel my toes and fingers freezing. I could tell they were getting numb when I could no longer move them. Then we heard it, the monster footstep, probably only 50 yards from my stand. My heart was pounding. My body instantly warmed up. I knew it was time to fill that empty space on my wall. There I sat, quiet as a mouse, just waiting for him to pop around the corner, and it was going down. And there it was. He was a beauty in my eyes. I looked over at Wayne, just waiting for him to give me the okay signal that I could take him down. After looking at him for about 5 seconds, which felt like 10 minutes, he looked at me and said, "Get him if you want, or you could wait for a bigger one that may be following." No way I was going to do that, though. I had a perfect shot, so there was no way I was just going to let him get away from me. I pulled up my .243 New England, put my cross arrow right behind his shoulder, and took the shot. As soon as I shot, Wayne said I definitely hit him for sure, but he took off like a Nolan Ryan fastball. After letting everything settle down, which I felt like another hour, Wayne said it was time to try and go find my first deer. I don't think I've ever climbed down a ladder so fast in my life. I was very excited that I got my first deer, not only the first deer, but also on my very first time to ever go deer hunting. We got to the spot where the deer stood when I shot and looked for a blood trail that would hopefully eventually lead us to my kill. After following a small trail for about 5 minutes, my stepdad looked at me and said, "There it is." I acted cool about it, but all I wanted to do was sprint over to the deer and check it out. It looked gigantic from where I was standing when we found it, but the closer we got, the smaller it started looking. Finally, I got right next to the deer, and there it was, my first kill. I bent over and knew it would take forever to count how many points it was. 1, 2, 3, Yeah, that's it. It was only 3 points, but which didn't take as long as I thought it would. I looked up at Wayne and he said it had to be gotten into a fight and lost some of its horns. It just made me feel better, but it still didn't care. It's my first deer and I'm proud of it. In conclusion, I still get that excited feeling that day before opening deer season. It was a fun day that I'll never forget. The memory of a deer hunter's first kill lasts forever, no matter what the size of the deer. There's only one time of the year I get up before the sun, and that is deer season. And someday I hope to get that monster buck that I dreamed of when I was 9 years old. And at my house, there's still that empty spot on the wall that would be perfect for me to hang my kill. I'm Jonathan Basler. Thank you.